Okay, so on to Egypt. As I speak right now, which is 30th of June 2013, thousands upon thousands are crowded into Tahrir Square in Cairo, Egypt, and they are protesting. What are they protesting about? Well, this time the protesters are split into two camps: those who are for the president Mohamed Morsi and those who are against it. And the people that are against him, Mohamed Morsi, they've kind of made their own rebellion, which they're calling Tamarod. And really, the story is interesting. So, a lot of Egyptians have been unhappy with Morsi's rule. They feel that he has spent too much time grabbing power for himself. They are complaining about lack of basic services. They're complaining about a lack of security. They're complaining about the economic woes, and they feel that Morsi hasn't kept the promises he made a year ago when he was inaugurated. And so these Tamar people have been going through the streets of Egypt collecting signatures, calling for Morsi to resign. And so far, the result has been phenomenal. They've managed to collect 22 million signatures of people calling for Morsi to resign, which is a lot more than the 13 million that put him in very narrowly at 52% last year. And basically, this is met with a lot of frustration by the people supporting Mohamed Morsi, because they feel that what is going on, what the Tamar people who are calling for him to resign is doing, is pretty much a coup. They say that it's not legit, and of course it isn't, because the Tamar rebellion has no legal standing. But they feel like when people make movements as this, when you mobilize so many people to push for something that, I mean, some say is undemocratic, then you are hindering and you are hurting the legitimacy of the constitution. You are hindering and hurting the legitimacy of the ruling party. You are hindering and hurting the legitimacy of democracy, which Egyptians have fought so hard for over the past couple of years. And I mean, I do kind of agree with them. I mean, Morsi, he was put in a free and fair democratic election, so it seems a bit iffy that you think all these signatures should oust him. Right now I'm sitting on the fence because I can see both sides, and there's so many arguments that would actually make you think maybe this man should go. I mean, for instance, he's managed to consolidate so much power for himself. He's effectively managed to shield his decisions from the judiciary, which gives him a lot of independence and a lot of free reign. His cabinet is filled with members of the Muslim Brotherhood. But then again, Morsi counter argues and says that, well, I did invite other parties to become part of my cabinet, but they declined. So what am I supposed to do? And if that's true, then that's also fair on him. I mean, the economic crisis, I mean, things in Egypt right now, it's not great. The value of their pound has fallen 20%. They literally have no foreign reserves. They're running on loans from the Gulf countries. Tourism, which once contributed about 14% of the GDP, is so low. At the height of Egyptian tourism, 14 million tourists were coming in, but now you'd be lucky, absolutely lucky, to get 10 million. So it shows that something needs to be done very quickly. But one thing I find interesting is, considering the economic woes, considering the fuel shortages, they were great and they have been plaguing Egypt for a while. How could you actually expect a man to fix it in a year? To a certain extent, I feel like maybe they haven't given him enough time to demonstrate his potential. It's just something that I find interesting. It reminds me of the time with Obama. There was so much hope when he was coming in, and barely 1 year in office, 18 months in office, people are calling for him out. His popularity points had dropped. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking, this is the real world. It's not a fairy tale. Things cannot happen overnight. So that was something that I found really interesting about it. I mean, basically, on top of that right now, I think that the main silver lining is the fact that the army has kind of refused to get into it so far. But of course, word on the street is that there are some people who are kind of encouraging the army, kind of saying maybe you should oust him. But I think the message they sent is clear. They're only going to get involved in it if bloodshed occurs, if people are killed. And as of now, the protests have been seemingly peaceful, so we hope that situation is not going to occur. Truthfully told, another issue that I also thought that was really interesting is, even if you get Morsi out, who is going to replace him? I mean, we have to look at the facts. The Muslim Brotherhood went from being a banned party to a ruling power. That is such a transition, and that's such an adjustment to make. You can understand why they've had all of these little flounderings and just trouble kind of trying to establish themselves. So it brings the question, if they go out, if he goes out, then who is going to lead? I mean, how do you know it's not going to repeat itself? How do you know that the next leader will do any better or will do any worse? that's another thing that I think we need to sit down and think about. I would like to I wish that this could end quickly, because I feel that the quicker rest and peace is restored to Egypt, the quicker they can restore themselves to their former stature. But I'm not entirely sure that that's going to happen. I don't see the Tamarod people stopping until he resigns, or stopping until they feel they've fought hard enough. And I don't think Morsi's going to resign, so yeah, that's a tough one. Anyway, we're just gonna have to be optimistic, hope for the best, and watch this space. So thank you for listening so far. Bye.